welcome to Createful Art. Today I'm going to show you how to paint a really pretty spring tree, and we're going to use everything but paintbrushes today. So if you have them, grab your palette knife. You can grab your markers. These are acrylic paint markers. I've got my brayer here and some sponges. We're learning all about using different tools to paint with in my art lessons. If you want to become a Createful Art member, you can get those weekly art lessons and learn more about all these tools. So that is why I'm showing you how to paint this tree without paintbrushes today. So the first thing that I'm going to do is grab my brayer. My brayer's really good at spreading paint fast. I'm going to dip it in my blue and I'm going to create a dark background really fast, and all you do is need a piece of paper for this. Don't worry about having a canvas unless you really want one. So I'm going to spread this dark blue all over my paper here, and then I'm going to let that dry. So go ahead and do that. By the way, these are all pre-mixed colors that I have a color mixing video for if you want to become a member and sign up for that. Otherwise, you can just use whatever colors that you want in this painting. That is one of the membership perks for helping to support these videos and making them possible for me to share on YouTube. So on my palette, I have a red and green, and they make a really good brown when they're mixed together. So I'm going to mix them. Right, there's my nice brown. And then I can add white to make a lighter brown. And I can add my light pink to get a different brown. Put a little bit more red in there. There we go. So this is the brown that I can make with the colors that I have. So I'm going to use my palette knife to create the trunk of my tree. Now the trunks usually are skinnier at the top and then they widen at the bottom. So I'm going to start it about in the middle here and then use the edge of my palette knife to make a line. And then I will move out. So I'll have to go back and get some more on the edge when I run out. And then I'll move to the bottom here. And then I'll move to the bottom here, creating some lines to create the trunk, and then I can also skip over to make the appearance of a tree trunk. So then I use the other side of my palette knife and I create the other side of the tree. I'm going to make sure I make it wide down here. Using the edge again to scrape to create the appearance of the trunk. Now I don't have to get really far with these roots, but I will show that there are roots, and I'll keep dragging color, leaving some of the dark blue underneath as the strongest contrast. Then I can make some branches up in here by just dragging, and I can make them smaller by using more of the edge, or I can make them thicker by pushing a little bit more down, like that. And the same thing, I can just drag over. And branches have small, they get thicker right here and then they get smaller at the tip. Just have fun playing around, creating some branches in your tree. You can make as many branches as you want. A lot of these will be covered up, so it doesn't matter that they come in and follow the tree exactly. But if you want them to connect and follow the tree, then you can do that. Palette knives are a really handy tool. You can learn all about them in my art lesson. So the reason why I went up here on the bottom is because I'm going to add in some grasses down here at the bottom. So I'm going to grab my palette knife again, and I'm coming in and grabbing my light green this time. And then I'm going to scrape, pull up. And the scraping gives you the appearance of grasses in the distance. So see how that works? And I can move it down here, go over my tree. Now I could do the whole tree with my palette knife only. So I could come in here, and this is all about personal preferences again. It's what I reiterate all the time on my channel. I could come in with my blossoms and just add them like this, with dark and light colors, with my palette knife for a different look. See how I do that? So I might want to do this with this tool, or I might want to grab a different tool and use my acrylic markers. Red in here on top of that other. I could come in here and do that. So let's see if I can find a different color. Maybe my light green here. I could put that in here. So see how it's very precise lines? So I could come in here and do some grasses in here that come up and are a little more precise. The other thing I can do is I can use a sponge. The key here is that I don't want to cover all of my dark blue that's in the background. So I'm going to grab my sponge, and I'm going to start with my darker pink. And get some dabs in here of that color. And it's going to cover more area faster. And it's going to give it a different look. So if you have a sponge, grab a sponge. They're really fun to play with. But if you don't, then use your acrylic markers. Or use your palette knife like I showed you how. You can even use your palette knife to cover more area. It'll just give it a different texture by scraping. So it's really fun to play with all these different textures that you can get. So if you want to learn more about how to use these tools, go ahead and get my weekly art lessons. They're going to help you become a better artist and expand your options as an artist, because it's all about knowing all these tools exist and how to use them so that you can create whatever it is you want. And then the point is that you put the light stuff on top or on the edge as the highlights where the light's hitting. So you can do that with your sponge if you'd like. Come out here and put light on the edges. And then that gives you the look that these are blossoms. here. So leave some of the dark areas and then put light on the outside of them. See how that works? And I rotate my sponge so that it doesn't give me the same texture everywhere, because it will do that. And finding a in-between of your textures, because you'll have so many different with having all these different tools. So just make sure that you have some of that texture throughout. So if you have some of that texture here, put some over here so it'll look like this belongs. So I'm going to start working from dark to light again on this side, using the tool that I prefer, whatever that is for you. Grab it and skipping some of that blue. So leave that blue in between there. And make sure I have a little bit here in the middle. It's a full tree. So see how soft that is compared to that? It's soft because when you're using a sponge and you're going over it multiple times, it softens it. So I'm going to get that texture to work together on this side. So I'm going to grab my pellet knife and start dabbing. See how pretty this is looking? Having all these fun textures. So go ahead and put the light on the edge of your darker pink. And then we can get to the green, because you probably want some green in it. And also some of these blossoms could be falling. I like to kind of have them falling in a certain direction. So it's okay to have some blossoms falling down, some splatters. And it's okay to have some down here. You might even want to take your sponge and add some color down there, as if there's a whole bunch of blossoms that fell. And you can just work with the textures you have and go all over with whatever tool you find that you want to work with. Play around, have fun, get creative. Okay, and then what's really cool is you can put anything else you want in your painting. So you can put somebody swinging. So today is National Love a Tree Day. So I'm going to put a heart on here, which is really easy to do when you have these paint pens. So here's a couple ways you can love trees today too. You can paint along with me. You can share this artwork on social media and tell people about National Love a Tree Day. If you want to get some of these paint pens, I have listed them in the description, along with all the supplies that we used today, and the color mixing video, there's a link to that too. Thank you so much for painting with me. I hope you learned a lot. Don't forget you can get those weekly art lessons by clicking right over here. If you want to get the color mixing video, the reference photos, and weekly art lessons that are going to help you become a better artist, go ahead and click right over here. These tutorials are meant to help you practice along with me the things that you are learning in the art lessons. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this lesson, and you're welcome to watch more videos, and I'll see you in my next tutorial.